Hi guys, my name is Boiti and you're watching Joburg Today.
Hello and welcome to Joburg Today. We are here at the City Council chambers where the MMC of Finance, Dr. Rabelani Dagada, has just delivered the inaugural budget speech of this newly elected coalition administration. The administration has touted this budget speech as being pro-poor because they say it addresses the needs of the forgotten people of the city of Johannesburg, that is, people who have lived on the fringes of broader society. However, there were some compromises that were made. There will be an electricity tariff of 2.28% for Joburg residents. Also, free water will no longer be available to all residents in the city of Joburg. But here's more from Dr. Dagada. Here are some of the highlights of that budget speech.
And we will not rest until we root out corruption and ensure that every cent of public money goes to those who need it most, our residents. The residents of the city have entrusted us with the management of the city's finances, and we are committed to driving the most optimal value from every rand spent. Ultimately, by imposing austerity in public expenditure and by optimizing and widening municipal revenue streams, we hope to turn the city to a sound financial footing.
The very infrastructure that delivers electricity is crumbling. Infrastructure that delivers water is crumbling. So you needed that kind of increment. One of the things that we are trying to avoid is to become populist government. You know, we could have easily said, you know what, we're not increasing, but what will happen is within 6 months we'll be under administration, we'll be out of the government. The provincial government will appoint an administrator. So we're not going to be populists. Electricity, these rates are, to be honest, are not determined by ourselves. We're operating within NESA's regulatory environment, and the increment is passed to us by Eskom when we do bulk purchases. In terms of water, previously, everybody was getting some free water, including me and Councillor Pakstow and Mayor Hemen Mashaba and Mr. Pestris Mutsipe getting some free water. That can't be right. We are saying that can't continue, that the middle class and the rich should get free basic water. The free basic water should go to indigent. So I have to pay my part. And when we do that, the city will be able to have more than 300 million rands, which is going to be plowed back on the poor, but also on infrastructure development. If you check, we are spending less than what was spent last year in terms of the capital budget, because we had to move some of the money to operational budget to ensure that our clinics are resourced, they have people, they have equipment, they have medicine, but also we have visible policing. We are appointing 1,500 police officers, but also, most importantly, we are moving money to repairs and maintenance, which was neglected over many, many years. By doing that, we will be able to attract direct investment into our city and thereby creating jobs for those forgotten people.
We had an opportunity to chat to the former mayor of Johannesburg, Mr. Pakstow, to hear what his thoughts were around the newly released budget. In particular, he criticized Dr. Dagada's statement that the recent credit downgrades will impact on the city's finances. We also chatted to the former MMC of Finance for the city of Johannesburg, Mr. Jeffrey Makubo, and we got comment from the chairman of the Economic Freedom Fighters.
Well, I think in the context of the city of Johannesburg, you need to take into account that credit ratings for the city are primarily domestic ratings, and the city would be rated on the basis of the domestic ratings. So I think it is also disingenuous for MMC Dagada to suggest that, in fact, the sovereign downgrades would necessarily have an impact on the domestic downgrades in the city of Johannesburg. In fact, domestic downgrades would be on the basis of the performance of the city. And I think it's disingenuous to suggest that that would be as a result of the sovereign downgrades. Unless, of course, he doesn't understand the difference between the sovereign downgrades and the relationship that would have with the domestic ratings. You would know that whilst last year there was a a downgrade of the country, the city of Johannesburg had an improved rating. So it isn't always causal that you would have a relationship between the two. We've got evidence that in fact it's not necessarily the truth.
Electricity tariff, NERSA has approved 0.38%, they want 2% extra. Water, the pass-through from Rand Water is 10%, they want 12%. They call it the retail increase. I think they're squeezing the citizens of Johannesburg. In the last 3 years, what we've done is that we've protected the citizen and increased their ability to pay for services. Now they've squeezed them out of affordability. This thing of saying I'm cancelling free basic water, I mean, that's absurd. That's absurd because the highest band of ESP is 5,300. Now, what are you saying about a Tani in El Raro Park who's earning 5,400? Are you saying now they must pay from the first drop because you are comparing Alex to Saxon World? You're trying to compare the two things that are not comparable because in the middle of the households of Johannesburg, it's not Saxon World, so it's not a contrast between Alex and Saxon World. There's a gap market in between of people who can afford. So this thing is not pro-poor at all, it's actually anti-poor.
We relatively welcome the proposed budget because they have considered on a lot of the demands which have been made by our people, which the economic freedom fighters have brought into council through motions, through questions and other means. And we're happy that the new administration have considered on those. We're happy that 2 years after the court have instructed the city of Johannesburg to develop the Slovo Park area, today this administration have considered to be able to go and develop that area. We're happy on that. We're also happy that the security personnel that have been working tirelessly to make sure that the properties and other assets of the city are well looked after and they're safe. Today they're going to be insourced and they're going to be permanent employees of the city with all the benefits that all city employees are going to get. We are also relatively happy and we welcome the fact that they have budgeted to ensure that all squatter camps have the basic of services in terms of electricity, water and sanitation. But I can guarantee you providing electricity to a squatter camp or electrifying a squatter camp is not good enough because that electricity in a squatter camp, which is built of corrugated ions, can also become a health hazard. But we welcome it because all of us, as per the constitutional provisions, deserve or have the right of access to the basic of services. And we're happy that the new administration is looking into that. But we are not happy and will try to engage the executive on the issue of taking away the 6 kiloliter water that have been previously been offered to all residents of Johannesburg. We said they must derive a new model or a better model that will be able to determine who can be able to afford and who cannot.
This is the budget as it stands. However, it will be debated on Thursday in council for approval.
It would really be lying to our residents that this budget is going to address all the issues because the issues are massive. 170 billion rands of infrastructure backlog. Just on electricity alone, 69 billion rands. On the road infrastructure, just over 5 billion rands. 1 in 3 of our residents unemployed, 300,000 housing backlog. So the challenge is huge. But however, we are saying is, with the little money that we have, we're going to make sure that we use it effectively to ensure that we can deliver on our mandate to bring about change.
And that's it from the team here at Council Chambers. We hope that the information provided in this show will give you some clarity on how your budget will be affected in the current financial year. Remember to like us on Facebook, JoburgToday.tv, and follow us on Twitter at JoburgToday.